Good morning. It is a rainy morning here in southern Iowa. It's also like 50-something degrees at the end of November, or toward the end of November. We're supposed to get snow next week, but it is crazy warm. It's been crazy warm for a long time. It's been crazy warm at my house for this time of year. It's crazy warm all over the middle of the country, really. Anyway, I got to go down to St. Joseph, Missouri, and pick up a load and take it to Denver for tomorrow. It doesn't pick up till 10 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock this morning. It's 7. It's less than a little under 2 hours to St. Joe, but it's raining, so I want to get over there early. I've been there before. You can check in a little early. There's not really any decent place to park, but maybe I'll get lucky and it won't be very busy anyway, so we'll see. But like I said, I just want to get an early start because it's raining, and I'd rather be a little early than to be late. It's always better to be a little early than to be late. The worst they can do if you're early is tell you to come back. But if you're late, oh well, then, you know, you're worse than Hitler at that point. If you're late, then it's how dare you. How dare you show up late? You're just crap. You know, you're the lowest life form on earth. Now, they can hold you up all day long, and you have to be understanding, and you have to realize, and this happens and that happens, and you need to be a little more understanding, and don't raise your voice now, because we don't have to call the police and have you trespassed and call your company and tell them that you're barred from our facility and this and that and the other. However, don't you be 5 minutes late. Otherwise, by God, you've just destroyed our entire day. And we're going to have to charge you $500 because it cost us $500 because you're not here on time. Whereas if we hold you up 4 or 5 hours beyond your appointment time, it cost you and your company absolutely nothing. You're totally fine, and don't worry about it. It's totally okay, you know. And why are you whining about it? And get the hell off our property. I think I described that pretty good. Now it's pouring down, raining. Well, not pouring down rain. It's raining. Let's see how many people drive like total idiots in the rain today. Oh, I'm sure we'll have our share. Quite sure of that. We're just south of Council Bluffs there at the Loves. I did a drop and hook in Council Bluffs yesterday from from Holcomb, Kansas, yeah. I started in Amarillo, Texas that morning. I brought an empty up. Went over to Holcomb, Kansas. Picked up a loaded trailer and did a drop and hook there in Council Bluffs. 28 minutes to spare on my 11 hours. I'm not going to get in a hurry. I'm going to drive the speed limit. I will do that much. I will drive the speed limit. pushback. Well, not a little pushback, but somebody made a comment on my video about maybe going back to Alaska. And I do mean maybe. I don't know. Although, things are getting rough down here. Tyson just closed a plant in Lexington, Nebraska. And then they're cutting a bunch of shifts out of their plant in Amarillo, Texas. That is our biggest customer. Now, we are diversifying. I will say that about the guy running this company. He saw the writing on the wall a while back and started diversifying. We're doing more out of, in fact, I'm picking up something at a food company today I've been to before that has absolutely nothing to do with Tyson. We're also doing more with other box beef companies. These stupid windshield wipers. Sorry. God dang it. I tell you what, Kenworth, this is the fly in Kenworth's ointment right here. They're windshield wipers. I've got it on continuous. I got to keep shaking the stock to get them to keep going. Every Kenworth, modern Kenworth I've driven has been like this. These stocks, they have the stock on the left. You have your turn signals. What else? You have your bright lights, and you have your windshield wipers. And there's too much on them. They wear out. I've had them replaced on these modern Kenworths, and not a month goes by, and the brand new one starts messing up. There's too much stuff on that stock. Put the windshield wiper switches back on the dash. It's just as easy for me to flip a switch on the dash as it is to flip a switch on the stock. Just as easy. I don't know why they try to cram everything on these stocks on the side of the steering wheels. I don't get it. But just stop. Because they don't work. And every time I hit my turn signal, I've got to redo my windshield wipers because they stop. Or I got to fiddle with the stock until they start working again. So how is that any safer than just putting the switch on the dash and I just flip the switch and I don't have to worry about it? They just continue to work. Imagine that. Anyway, now that I'm finished with that rant, well, until I have to use my turn signals again and they stop working again. Oh, yeah. So, I don't know what's going on with Tyson. Look, I'm going to say this. I live in the Texas Panhandle. We had a massive wildfire, about 2 years ago. In fact, I think it was, when it was all said and done, it was the largest in U.S. history. It was huge, a huge prairie fire. It killed thousands of head of cattle in the Texas Panhandle, in the heart of cattle country. It's going to take a while for, the inventory of cattle to catch back up. So that hurt beef prices. Now, I know JBS is selling beef to China. Because of the tariffs, they can't sell them directly to China. What they're doing is they're sending the beef to Argentina, and from there, it's being sent to China. That's how they get around the tariffs. You got to understand something. JBS is a South American company. They're not an American company. Now, the president is trying to get beef up from Argentina, which I didn't like that at first, but I have to say, sorry, I got to roll this window down and kind of clean it off. I have to say, my windshield's going to fog up. Amazon's going to try to speed up on me because that's what guys pulling Amazon trailers do. Right? Buy some dude from some other country. It's the only one that'll haul that cheap stuff. As soon as you jump out there to pass them, they decide to find the gas pedal. So I'm going to speed up and go around them. And then I'm going to go back to the speed I was going when I started passing him once I get in front of him. And he can decide to do what he wants to do for after that. Nothing irritates me more than these drivers who, you know, it's bad enough when four-wheelers do it to you, but when it's another truck that does it to you, it really jerks my frog, man. It really does. Anyway, that's one reason why beef prices are high, and I get that. They're high where I live. And like I said, I live right in the middle of cattle country. I haven't bought a brisket in I don't know how long, because I can't afford it. I mean, I can, but I can't. I say I can't afford it. Yeah, I could buy a brisket. I could spend $100 on a brisket. I can't justify it. You know, I just can't. That's just way too much money. So, you know, I don't know what else is going on as far as beef prices. I know that's a big thing, you know, the loss of so much cattle. There are other factors. Like I said, I wasn't all hot on the president trying to get, you know, beef up from Argentina, but at the same time, we probably kind of need it to at least stabilize the beef market until, you know, the calves mature in the areas where we lost so much cattle and they can start being processed. So, you know, that goes into factor of my deciding if I want to go to work for this Alaska-based company or not. Now, they're also doing a lot of stuff down in the lower 48, so it may affect them as well. But so much is going on in Alaska right now that, you know, there's freight to be hauled going up that way and up there. The comment I got was from someone talking about my unstable job history. Now, I'm going to address, I normally don't like, look, you want to make negative comments about me, that's fine, man. You know, I'm not a wallflower, I'm a cactus. So you do whatever you want to do. But I'm going to address it. Number one, I didn't call these people. They called or they texted me. I didn't text them or call them looking for a job. They texted me. The reason why, and I say that, and I said this in the response, and I'll say it here, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I've got 30 plus years experience. I've got all endorsements. You know, I've got a passport, and I've got haul road, and I've got ice road experience. So I'm in a small percentile of drivers that have, you know, a lot of different things. Just having hazmat, right? If you've never run anything else, if you've got hazmat and tanker, I mean, that goes a long way for you. I'm not saying you have to haul hazmat. I'm not saying you have to go to work for a hazmat company. But just the fact that you have hazmat and tanker goes a long way. And if you have hazmat, you need to have tanker. Because a lot of companies, a lot of van companies who also do hazmat, a lot of them do food grade hazmat, right? Those CO2 cylinders they use for fountain drinks and things like that, that's hazmat. It doesn't necessarily mean you're hauling gasoline or diesel or nuclear waste or explosives or anything like that. You could be hauling food grade hazmat. Alright? You have to have a tanker endorsement. Their insurance companies want their drivers to have a tanker endorsement. It doesn't matter if you never haul a tanker. It doesn't matter. If you're pulling a reefer or driving, they still want you to have a tanker endorsement. So if you have hazmat and you don't have a tanker endorsement, go down and get your tanker endorsement. It's easy. And once you have it, you've got it for life. It's not like hazmat. You got to keep renewing it. All right, get your tanker, get your hazmat, get your tanker. It'll really open up a lot of doors for you. A lot of local stuff. especially if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, because you can do some oil field work and be home every day, you know, or be on a rotation somewhere. Or you could go work up on the North Slope in Alaska and, you know, work 3 weeks on and 3 weeks off. Like that. I mean, there's just a lot of things you can do with that. So, you know, I'm not saying you have to go down and get it. I'm just saying it does open a lot of doors for you. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm not even sure if I'm taking this job in Alaska. I've thought about it. But they know how long I've worked here. Alright? They know how long I've worked in Alaska. Believe me, Alaska's a small town, man. Or it's like a small town. Everybody knows everybody. I guarantee you they already know every single trip I made up the Haul Road. They've already had conversations with me. This company knows that if I could get a situation where I could run Alaska and be home, I'm going to take it. They know that. I've done, I guess, what you can call freelance type work since I left here in 2023. I worked here before. I worked here for a long time. And I hauled in hydrous for a guy for a while, and he knew that was going to be temporary. And because he knew I was trying to get to Alaska, and then I went to Alaska. So, wow, here comes the rain again. So to the person saying, well, I wouldn't hire you because you're unstable, I get it, bro. Don't hire me. I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that. And I understand it. But you don't know my situation. You don't know everything. You know what I tell you on here, on a live stream, or whatever. That's not everything. I don't, unlike a lot of people on social media, I don't discuss my whole life on social media. I know a lot of people do. And you know what? They get a lot of clicks and views like that. They get thousands and thousands of subscribers by telling everybody everything about their life. I have no desire to tell everybody about my life. I mean, I just don't. Nor do you need to know. And you probably don't want to know. Because it's not that exciting. But anyway, I just thought I would address that. It is what it is. So we're heading to St. Joseph. And excuse the vibration in the camera. This truck has had a vibration in it since I got it. I think it's the shocks. But they're about to turn this truck in, so, I mean, you know, nobody's going to stress over it. But, yeah. It's got a bit of a vibration. It's got 400,000 miles on it. So it's about due to be turned in. They don't keep their trucks. They try to turn them in before they hit 500,000. Or about 450, somewhere in there. So I don't know what's going to go on with Tyson, man. I was just at the Lexington plant, 3 days ago? 4 days ago? And no one said anything about them shutting down. But then I understand they're just now getting the letters saying, hey, we're shutting down. I saw something 2 days later saying they were shutting down. And that Amarillo is cutting, I think, 1,700 workers. What surprised me about Amarillo was the fact Amarillo, they just expanded that plant. When I left here in 2023, they were working on it, expanding that plant. They just did it. That tells tells me that this is not something that anyone saw coming right away. But we'll see what happens. Maybe by shutting some of these plants down, if they're actually not needed, that may help bring the price down. Now, when I left here in 2023, Tyson had Tyson IBP. I'm not talking about the chicken people, I'm talking about beef. They had a plant in Emporia, Kansas. Now, since I left in 2023, they've shut that plant down. So that plant was already gone. That was a good sized plant. All these plants are big plants. However, JBS seems to be expanding a bit. So, and National Beef, I don't know what's going on with National Beef. We do limited business with National Beef, with the Liberal Kansas plant. No, my apologies. With the Dodge City plant. We don't do anything with the Liberal Kansas plant. We used to do a little bit here and there. Now, I'll say this too. Empirical Foods, which is owned by Tyson, is about to open in a huge plant in Garden City, Kansas. So, this may be more of a realignment. And I know we're going to be doing business out of Empirical Foods in Garden City. Now, they were working on that plant when I left in 23. It's finished. They're just now, I think this week or next week, or right after Thanksgiving, are going to start firing it up where they have loads coming out. Loads going in, loads going out. Our local guy in Garden City is going to start bringing loads back and forth to Dodge City. He's going to be bringing loads back and forth to Amarillo, like that. So, how many loads we're going to get out of there as far as OTR loads, I don't know. We do Empirical Foods in South Sioux City, Nebraska. So, I don't know if we're going to be doing a lot of loads between Garden City and South Sioux. Right now, we do loads from National Beef in Dodge City to South Sioux. So, I don't know. So, if they're opening up an Empirical Foods plant in Garden while they're shutting a plant down in Lexington, Nebraska, and cutting jobs in Amarillo, Texas, like I said, it tells me they're doing more of a realignment, maybe. It doesn't help the people in Lexington or in Amarillo, I get that. But I'm just saying, I don't think we're going to run out of beef anytime soon. And like I said, it may help bring the price down. I don't know. We'll see. You know, I understand a lot of ranchers don't like if beef comes up from Argentina. I get that. There's a lot of large ranches around where I live, you know, and I get it. At the same time, we got to stabilize prices. So you got to walk a fine line there, right? It's like a farmer with rain. They don't like too much rain, but they don't like it when it doesn't rain enough. Same thing with beef prices. You don't want to flood the market to the point to where beef prices plummet to the point to where our ranchers don't make any money. But at the same time, you got to do something to stabilize the price. The prices are out of control. When it cost me $115 to buy a brisket in West Texas, in the heart of cattle country, I mean, I can just imagine what people on the East Coast are paying, or people in Hawaii. I know it's pretty high in Alaska. Obviously, I was just up there. Prices are always high up there. Simply because they don't really have a cattle industry. You know, I mean, they do have some cows in southern Alaska, but you don't have the cattle industry up there like you have in the lower 48. But you know, prices have to be stabilized. They just have to. So you got to walk that fine line. Let's stabilize prices without flooding the market. And I got a four-wheeler who's going to spend his life trying to pass me, and he needs to hurry up because this exit 10, there's a lot of people that merge on. I don't see anybody at the moment, thankfully. This dude's been trying to pass me for a few miles now. I don't understand people who do that. Hit the gas and get around me. I don't like to be around big trucks, especially when I'm in a car or in a pickup. I like to get around them. Or let them get around me, if that's what they're doing. I don't prolong it, you know. But some people just have no clue. It's whatever their interactive cruise does, that's what they do. Fair enough. Anyway, so that's my take on the beef prices, which I didn't mean to get into, but it all kind of coincides with what I'm going to do. I'm not saying this company's going to go out of business. Look, like I said, they're pretty smart people running this company. They got a good business model. They're already diversifying. It does mean that some of their drivers who are used to like 90, when I worked here before, we were like 95 to 98% drop and hook. We did very, very, very little driver unloading. Or not driver unloading, but live unloading. There was a few places, Americold in Garden City, Kansas, we did a live unload. Colorado Premium in Denver, and in Greeley we did a driver unload. And that was about it. That was about it. Now they're probably about 80% dropping it because they have diversified some. So it's a lot harder to get 4,000 miles legally in a week now than you could before, but you can still get well over 3,000 a week, depending on the driver and what he wants to do. And I have gotten 4,000 miles in a week since I've been back. You can do it. Obviously, I'm not going to this week because I'm going home for Thanksgiving, and it's already the 24th. So I'm going to take this load to Denver, and then probably from there I'll probably deadhead somewhere and pick up a load going to Amarillo, if I had to guess. Maybe deadhead down to Holcomb, Kansas, and get in Amarillo. I don't know. I've been to this place before. If I remember correctly, they're pretty good about loading you up pretty quick. I don't remember sitting there for an extended period of time. Not past my appointment time anyway. I've got till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to be at, it's going to U.S. Foods there in Denver. I believe we have an account, so it doesn't cost me anything. Well, it never costs me. That's another thing. I hear a lot of guys complain about, oh, you know, we need to do something about the drivers paying these lumper fees. Let me tell you something. If you're a driver and you're paying a lumper fee, leave that company. No driver I know of is paying the lumper fee. That doesn't mean you're not writing out a physical check, you know, EFS check or whatever, com check, whatever. You may be doing that, but you're not paying for it. That's not coming out of your pay. If it is, run away from that company. I mean, run away. Do not stay there. I wanted to address, I guess, the whole what I'm going to do as far as Alaska or not. Not that anybody cares. My life is my life. And well, we got into the beef thing. But it's important, man, because, you know, not just if you're pulling a reefer, And even if you don't haul beef, you say, well, I haul produce. I don't care. Look, it does matter, because the guys pulling reefers who are hauling beef are going to now try to get other loads, which means it's going to affect you, because then you may have more guys hauling produce than were hauling produce before, so that cuts into your loads. It's like when you see a dry van or a flatbed company that all of a sudden they start buying reefers. That affects you, because that's more people in the reefer market, you know. So it affects everyone. Tanker, there's guys that bring in liquid nitrogen to those places. You have the hopper bottom guys that are bringing stuff into these plants. The dry van guys who bring in pallets and boxes and things like that. It affects everyone. Even the flatbed guys, once in a while they'll bring in, equipment, things like that. It affects us all. I guess the only person it doesn't affect is if you're a car hauler. I guess it's not going to affect you. But it does in a way, because if people get laid off, they're not buying automobiles, they're not selling as many cars. It's a domino thing. It really is. But like I said, if it's just a realignment, we'll see. I don't know how many jobs that's going to be in Lexington. Excuse me. Like I said, it's a big plant. But the whole beef industry has been weird for years. Tyson and JBS have bought out so many other companies like Monfort, like Swift and Company, Johnsonville, and Jimmy Dean. There's been so many beef and pork companies that have been bought out by JBS and Tyson. Excel got bought out. That there's only really, you got Tyson or Tyson IBP, because I don't want to confuse them with the chicken people. You got Tyson IBP, you got Cargill, you got JBS, and you've got National Beef. And there's really, National Beef, they're big plants, but there's only two of them that I know of, Liberal and Dodge City. That's it. Whereas, JBS and Tyson, as far as the beef plants, they're all over the Midwest and West. And Cargill's got a few plants here and there as well. But really, Tyson and JBS, man, they've got the market, right? They've got the market. They really do. Now, you've got some smaller ones. You got Preferred Beef in Booker, Texas. And you've got some smaller ones here and there across Nebraska and, Colorado and places. But I'm talking the big ones. JBS and Tyson IVP. Those are the big boys of the beef producers. Comes the Misery State Line, Missouri. No, I'm not saying that because I have anything against Missouri. I don't know. Whatever. Missouri is what Missouri is. I know a guy who just moved to Missouri. He retired in Missouri. Lived in East Texas. And I guess he had some land up there. I think his family was from Missouri. And he's got looks like a nice place. He had some pictures of it. I'm not exactly sure where in Missouri, but he's building a house out there and got some land. Yeah, Missouri's cool. You got woods and stuff, and you got the Ozarks. You got the hills down there in southern Missouri, central Missouri, and of course you got Kansas City and St. Louis and crap. But it is what it is. You got the Branson down there. Everybody goes down there to Branson. You got the Mississippi River and the Missouri River. You got a lot of rivers. I mean, it is a good place for like if you're into outdoor stuff. Missouri's a pretty good place for that. the scale in Missouri. Now, granted, I come through here a lot late at night, but even so, I mean, it's 7:30 in the morning. They shut down all their outbound scales. Like over here on the left where these trucks are parked, that used to be a weigh station. And they shut it down. And they made truck parking out of it. Which, that's cool that they made truck parking out of it, you know. But, not the only scales they have open anymore, or that they have around anymore, are at the state lines. They shut down pretty much all their interior scales and all their outbound scales. So I don't know what that's about. Don't get me wrong, I'm not crying a river over it. Not that I have a problem. I'm empty. I've got hours and all that. I just, you know, if you don't have to waste time dropping off in the scale, then, you know, that's great. Now, Oklahoma, they're going to pull you in. Doesn't matter, empty, loaded, whatever right now. Oklahoma's on a mission. They are on a mission. And we all know what that mission is. I got pulled in there the other night, coming down from, Dakota City, Iowa, going to Edwardsville, Kansas. No, I'm already through Kansas. Going to Enid, Oklahoma. That's right. And I wasn't out of Dakota City. Where the hell was that out of? I was out of Lexington. I was out of Lexington, Nebraska. Yeah. That was the last time I went to Lexington. I was supposed to go to Amarillo, but that load wasn't ready, so they switched me to the Enid load, which is another live unload. But they're pretty quick over there. It's Tyson, but we don't do drop and hook. It's Tyson, but it's another company that Tyson bought out. Food company. And they just don't have room for drop trailers. Day, but at least it's not freezing rain or sleet. You know, it's 50 degrees, so I don't have to worry about that. Anyway, I guess I'm going to call the wife. She should be up, getting ready for work. So this video's gone on in about 40 minutes. It's long enough. I don't really have much else to say. Pretty boring through here. You get to the hills a little further down. Through here it's kind of boring. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to try to get into a few more things. We'll see how it works out. I know I keep saying that, and I get busy. I just now was able to start reading some more comments. I apologize for not doing that much lately. But anyway, try to get another live stream in sometime. I'm not promising before Thanksgiving, but we'll see. But anyway, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.